This work is super important to me. It's not only my livelihood, but it's my passion, and there's been so much sacrifice in life to get to this point, especially the sacrifices my family, especially my wife, has made along the way. A lot of debt from Wyotech, which also opened up doors, but it's the most important thing besides my family, you know, and to be able to show my craft and be able to have these opportunities to build these cars and bikes, it's unbelievable. This is our showroom floor here at American Metal Customs. This is where we house a lot of our builds we've done. Some of them are brand new, some of them have been in the past. This is the Disciple, the 1941 EL Knucklehead. I did this bike and debuted it at Fuel Cleveland this last year. This is the first bike that came out of American Metal Customs. This bike speaks into a lot of my career, the relationship with Baileigh. You know, this was all made with Baileigh tooling. So handcrafted split tank, handmade seat, rear fender. It's got a light asylum tail light. These come from Europe. Oil tank, handmade foot controls. Did a leaf spring front end. A 6-4 Baker transmission with a Tech Cycle open primary. So the bike is actually super fast. One of the things I work really hard at is we want to make rolling art and all this handcrafted stuff, but it's got to be able to function and it's got to be able to go down the road. This is Malibu Honey, another Born Free build of mine. This is a SNS 93-inch motor, Baker 6-4 transmission, aftermarket Harley Springer on it. As everybody knows, I'm a big Harley fan. Custom frame, custom gas tank, custom seat, rear fender, sissy bar, oil tank, pipes, foot controls. I call this my little hot rod. This bike is super gnarly, super loud, super fast. It's a lot of fun to ride. Wyotech was the first, place that really, lended an idea that metal shaping could be, a career path. I did the ASM, which is the Applied Shop Management course on the business side. I did the collision and refinishing, got certified as a PVG painter. And then I got into street rod and advanced street rod, and it absolutely just blew my mind. It changed everything. When I started to weld and I started to learn how to metal shape, and I realized that the things in my head that I wanted to create, I could actually make into a reality. It was just unbelievable. 1934 Ford Coupe. This was one of my first, from the ground up builds. Everything on this car had been touched. It's been chopped, custom hood. All the cowl was changed so it lined up with the frame. Custom firewall, custom grill shell. It's a 392 Hemi. The client wanted an all handmade aluminum interior. Everything was handcrafted, and this was a ton of time on the Baileigh bead roller, getting this thing to look the way it needed to be, and for it all to actually fit together so that all the panels can get removed and put back in. The trunk area of the car as well, that's where the fuel tanks hid, so we wanted everything to be nice and tight and that beautiful sleek look. This is a 1955 that Ralph did. Him and Dave did this in 2019. It's got the LS swap in it. It's got a full roadster shop, custom chassis, custom wheels, a wild custom interior. Ralph did all this amazing paintwork to it. And this car is another one of those fantastic builds. Everything has been touched. It's an absolutely beautiful machine. Chris, once again, is an avid collector and a huge music buff. This is actually Eddie Van Halen's car. This is the 2016 Porsche 911 GT3 RS. The sill panels in there have the insignia. Actually, when you turn on the car, it says Eddie's radio choices that he had preset in there. Very cool car. It's always on display here. People appreciate it. This is the Glamour and Grit Lounge. This is where we house our American Metal whiskey. We've been working hard on that too. This is a big part of Chris's collection. There's some really cool stuff in here. My partner in crime, Chris Bishop.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
How you doing, buddy?
Working with Josh has always been a ride, a fun ride, and Baileigh is amazing in terms of helping him do his craft, and helping him do it easier and better. And man, we're having such fun now. It really is just the beginning. And let me show you around. We have passion for cars and motorcycles, but again, for music memorabilia. This is a Johnny Cash stage worn suit. This is a guitar that was signed by Johnny, and it was custom painted, and it's called Ring of Fire. Elvis Presley owned this jacket here, and he wore it. And then the boots were the actual ones that he wore in the '68 Comeback TV event. This guitar here was owned and played by Jimi Hendrix. And the hat and the shirt are also part of his personal collection. The jacket and the helmet were signed by Peter Fonda, one of my favorite movies, Easy Rider. They weren't owned by him, but just another great piece of memorabilia that's like, for me, it's like the energy that I get from riding, or when you see a car or a motorcycle done right there, it just brings that energy to your heart and it's fun because you can share it like we're doing now. Working with Baileigh, being super helpful and getting the job done. You know, they understand we're companies that, you know, want to build things the American way with craftsmanship and with attention to detail. With Baileigh's help, you know, and Josh's skill, we take it to the next level.
You know, opening up this shop was a big endeavor, and so one of the things you got to do is you got to tool up the shop, you know, so it was a fresh start with nothing, you know, and my relationship, you know, with Baileigh and, you know, how much they've done for me, my career path, it was an obvious choice of, you know, I wanted everything that we could possibly get from those guys to fill the shop up. This is the big fab area. This is where most of the fun and the building goes on. This is all packed with Baileigh equipment. This is where we do all the metal shaping, a lot of the design, chassis fabrication, whatever needs to be done to build that machine that we're working on. All these tools get used almost on a daily basis. Every project that we have, I use the bead roller on everything, and especially in the early days, you know, with my gas tanks and rear fenders, it always gave this whole other side of design and that artistic ability that really opened up a lot of doors for me, and especially with my style. This is our 66 shop panel truck that we're building. It was actually getting used as a hearse. It had these windows that were cut out, and instead of filling the windows, I'm gonna make an insert, brand it with American Metal Customs. So I was able to use that bead roller with the art dies and create amazing things like that. And once again, without this machinery, wouldn't be able to do that stuff. The shrinker or stretcher, another thing that gets used constantly. We got 2 of them, so we don't have to switch the dies. But this is an absolute fundamental tool in the metal shaping realm. What does metal do? You can shrink it, you can stretch it, and you can mess it up. This is another thing that we just live on constantly. So the English wheel is one of those old school tools. It's just what you have to be able to create those shapes. When you have to get big rolls, you know, when you're making fenders, every single gas tank, every single fender I make goes through this machine. And I think it goes hand in hand with this guy. You know, the planishing hammer is the only way I'm able to get into some of those radiuses in gas tanks, fenders, especially when you're doing a fender out of one piece. Complicated shapes, reverse curves. I run it all through here. It's a way to get to that shape faster too. The louver press has been absolutely amazing. This is really cool too because you can change this die in different settings. You can have a louver that comes at an angle. You can have them go straight. You can have them be 5 inches apart. You can have them be 2 inches apart. And you know that every single time when you go to stamp that, it's going to be the same louver. This is our slip roller. We slip roll everything through obviously steel, aluminum. I'm a mixed metal guy. Everything I build on the bikes usually has a different kind of alloys. So this thing, whether we're making a bracket, whether you're making a, you know, once again, a gas tank, a panel, anything, it usually goes through this. This is our vertical bandsaw. You have so many different features. You don't just turn it on and it rips. You have this variable speed controller, so you can set it for whatever blade you have in there, for whatever material you're cutting. Everybody's on this machine almost every single day, and you know, I won't lie, people cut things they're not supposed to in here, and it still does its job. This is our hydraulic shear. I mean, you come up here, you can feed the metal through. It's got everything on the back end if you need that precision, straight cut. It's got a huge deck, and you hit the pedal and it cuts beautifully every single time. It'll cut, you know, 14, 16 gauge, 18 gauge steel. So I absolutely love it. Here we kind of come into the machine shop. We have our hydraulic press. This is the 30-ton. You put it in there and it does its job easily. We have our drill press. Gotta have a drill press that's gonna be able to cut precision holes. And then we come into our lathe. It's got the water-cooled feed, it's got your light, it's got your electronic readout. So this is if you want to get into precision stuff that, you know, once again, we're doing a lot of that here. You got to have a lathe that's going to be able to get you where you need to be. As everybody knows, you know, the Bridgeport is the OG of all of them, and this gets used a lot. Two tools hand in hand, you can really do anything you need. The tubing bender, once again, you know, it just gets used on so many different applications, especially in the bike world. And it's very precision. It's got all the marks, so you can hit your mark, whether, you know, so each side of whatever you're making comes out exactly like the other side. That hydraulic aspect of all this new tooling is so cool, just to, once again, to be able to hit that pedal and snake it into right where you need it, you know, to get that part to come out the same every single time. This is our finger brake. Being able to take out these brakes and, you know, being able to do those crazy parts that we make, you know, it's awesome that it's diverse. And then once again, you know, you have that spread to get a big ash, you know, chunk of sheet metal in there if you have to do crazy brake. There's a lot of big panels that go through this thing, and you know, with the weight and the size of it, it does it effortlessly. We call this the man eater. As you can see by the wear on this thing just gets beat up, it gets used constantly. I mean, and it's rowdy. And when you sand something, you know you're gonna get that 100% flat, flushed edge, especially when it comes to making brackets that have to get welded. You want everything to come together really, really nice. This is where we do a lot of electrical work, a lot of tuning, that mechanical side of stuff. This is our full interior custom shop ran by Brian and his wife. And anything and everything that you can imagine in the interior realm, they do here. This is our custom paint area. We do a lot of final assembly in here as well. This is our paint booth. It's 15 by 40. It's a downdraft. And so we're able to get a whole body in here, doors, deck lid, hood, the whole thing, and be able to spray it all in one time instead of bringing in pieces. So this is our storage facility. We can store 267 cars here. We also have a VIP section. Each VIP section has a camera that actually monitors their car so they can keep an eye on it if they want. And that also gives them entrance to the bootlegger lounge where they can enjoy a cocktail and a cigar while they're waiting for their car to get detailed or get out getting ready for the open road. A lot of these cars and bikes that we get is, you know, we love preserving the history of America and that hot rod culture and the motorcycle culture that, you know, created what we do now, especially as builders, is a big part of, I think, our story and America's story. This is a Captain America Easy Rider chopper. So this bike's a special bike. This is how me and Chris actually met. I was building this bike when I was at Orange County Choppers. And so Chris would come in and look at the bike, and we started talking, and we just realized how much we had in common, the love for cars, the love for motorcycles, and just where life was in general. We had a lot of similar, you know, thoughts, and so this bike really connected us, and this is what started it all. If I could leave behind a legacy, it would be to show my son that, you know, you can dream as big as you want, and if you work hard for it, you can make it happen. I wanted to teach him about hard work, and I want to teach him about, you know, you got to sacrifice. It doesn't come easy. I also would love to keep this craft going. You know, we live in such a world now where a lot of people don't even know that you can make a living by being a metal shaper, by being a welder, you know, by building hot rods and cars. You know, that craft is getting lost, and I would love to be a part of teaching that craft, pushing that craft, hopefully till I get old and can't do it anymore, to keep it going within the next generation.